I've been recording GTA 3 videos for a while now. And while I've been making them, I've come across many interesting things. Glitches and new facts about the game that I never knew, and more. So I thought I'd put together a list of 50 weird and random things and glitches and whatever else. You just might see something you've never seen in GTA 3 before. I hope you enjoy watching, and do consider subscribing if you like GTA content from the PS2 era. Let's get into it. First up is the taxi, one of the staples of Liberty City streets. You see them everywhere, but did you know that the taxi has two colour schemes? The difference is quite subtle though. There's a version with a lighter grey bumper and a version with a darker grey bumper. You can see them both side by side here. In the beta there was even a version with yellow bumpers, which was removed, but did return for Liberty City stories. Okay, right now I'm on Staunton Island, but I shouldn't be. You can see the T on the minimap for Tony, indicating that I'm still on the Portland missions. Now it's common knowledge that you can glitch to the other islands before you officially gain access to them, so that's not the fact here. But check this message on this digital billboard near the mall. First phase Liberty Tunnel about to be completed. Chaos as Callahan Bridge under repair. Now that's a bit strange, isn't it? Because when you get access to Staunton Island for the first time, the first phase of the tunnel is completed and the Callahan Bridge is fixed. So here I am playing the mission Last Requests, which is the first time you access Staunton. Let's finish the mission and then head back to the same billboard and see what it says. Long delays behind us as Callahan Bridge is fixed. So why does the original message exist if you could never see it without exploiting glitches? Well, the answer is that it also displays on this digital billboard above the entrance to the Porter Tunnel in Portland. But I still find it crazy that the only way you can see this message in this place is to glitch to Staunton and access it earlier than you should. On Staunton Island, there's this dojo. It features in the mission Kanbu Bust Out as the location you need to take the Yakuza Kanbu to once you've broken him out of prison. The name of the dojo is Hyaku. And if you've ever wondered what it translates to, well, it's 100. Making the name of the dojo the 100 Dojo. So there you go. Speaking of Kanbu Bust Out, one thing I never realised was that you can hear sounds of a fight taking place inside the jail cell. I guess it could be a reference to like police brutality or something. But it's weird because when you break the Yakuza Kanbu out of the cell, he's the only person in there. There's blood on the wall suggesting someone else was there. But if the explosion wasted them, why did the Kanbu come out unscathed? Strange stuff. But I thought, I don't want to just leave it there. Let's see if we can see inside and have a look at what's happening. So I used the ghost car glitch, and this took quite a lot of setting up, by the way. Here we are at the jail cell and we can hear the fighting sounds, same as before. And if we go through the wall, we can see that there is no one here at this point in the mission. The Yakuza Kanbu only spawns when the wall is destroyed. So there you go, it's just an audio track that's playing, rather than an actual fight taking place in here. Near Asuka's condo is this row of garages, and they look pretty unassuming. In fact, you've probably never given them a second thought. But one of them is open slightly, and looks to have at least a basic interior. I just find this so weird. Why is it ajar? Why is it not just like the rest? If we go a bit further away, we can zoom in and try to get a better look. But is there a better way to see inside? If you glitch through the wall, sadly the floor is not solid. But we can at least use the ghost car glitch to go through it and take a brief look before heading into blue hell. This means that we can at least take some screenshots of the interior. It has a back wall and 2 side walls, although they're not high res. I do wonder whether this garage would have once been used for something, but now it's just a mystery. Now I assume you're familiar with high res and low res textures. Basically, if you're close to something, it'll be high res, but if you're further away, the low res texture will replace it, to save on memory and ensure fast gameplay. In Chinatown, there's this building here which looks normal. However, if we move further away, we can take a look at its low res texture, and it's completely different. It's like yellow with red spots on it. I've got no idea what this is meant to be. Maybe it was just a placeholder that was never removed. Let's talk about the FBI car. If you steal one from the FBI, it'll be pitch black like this. Similar to the pitch black stretch from Salvatore's Called a Meeting, or the pitch black Rumpo from Under Surveillance. But if you take it to pay and spray, it'll come out a different colour. It's now two-tone grey, a darker grey on the body and a lighter grey on the bumpers. But what's also strange is that if you try to respray it back to black, you can't. Once you've changed it to grey, you can't get the black colour scheme back again. Also worth mentioning is that if you get an FBI car from the emergency vehicle crane in Portland once you've completed it, that will also be grey rather than black. Okay, here's a random one. We're in Shoreside Vale now, near Catalina's mansion. We're going to use the ghost car glitch to go inside the compound, and then inside the mansion itself. There are loads of invisible walls inside the building. It feels like the game is trying to push you out. But anyway, the fact is that there's a tree inside Catalina's mansion. That's it, that's the fact. But either it was simply misplaced by a developer, or Catalina's mansion was originally a bit smaller and was subsequently extended. Who knows? I mentioned in my Easter eggs and references video that the guy in Ammu-Nation is Rockstar's co-founder, Sam Houser. You can see him here behind the counter. But if you were to go outside the shop then look back inside, you can see he's no longer there. He only spawns when you're inside the shop. It's strange in a way because the weapons you can buy are loaded in even when you're outside. It's just Sam who isn't. If you enter a vehicle when the camera is facing to the front of the car, then hold L2 and R2, you'll get a unique camera while driving, as long as you're holding both of those buttons down. On the PS2, pressing L2 and R2 is typically used to look behind. But in this scenario, it locks the camera to the rear of the car. As you can see, when I turn, the camera is still absolutely fixed to the back. Compare that to the normal camera, and when I turn, you can see the sides of the car. The camera is a lot looser. The special camera lasts for as long as you hold L2 and R2 for. Once you let go, it'll return to normal. I honestly don't know why this exists. Is it just a glitch? I'm pretty sure that you can do it in Vice City as well. Have you ever realised that the taxi and the police car are actually the same vehicle? They're both based on the Chevrolet Caprice, and the in-game cars imitated the real-life taxis and police cars of New York. Obviously the police car is the better of the two, stats wise, but the taxi does have one advantage over the police car, which we'll see later in the video. Speaking of the game's vehicles, have you ever looked closely at the license plates? Every car in Liberty City has the same registration plate. It reads LCR29. The LC portion of it probably stands for Liberty City. So what's that one performance advantage that the taxi holds over the police car? Well, it can do a 180 reverse like this. The taxi is one of only a handful of vehicles in the game that have this ability, including the Blister, the Manana, the Moonbeam, and the Mr. Whoopee. Let me know in the comments if there are any more. Okay, let's talk about the change character cheat, also known as the change costume cheat. Inputting this cheat allows you to turn into one of the many Peds in Liberty City. And when you use the cheat to change character, the weapon you're holding will become invisible. And it will only turn visible again once you cycle to a different weapon. So you can take advantage of the invisible weapon to do things like this. Be an old granny who beats people up with nothing but their shopping bags. And then there's this guy. I've spoken about him before on the channel, but not for a long time. He has an interesting ability. Gang members won't attack him. That's right, you can go through the likes of St. Mark's completely unbothered by the mafia. The theory behind this is that there's some kind of Ped hierarchy working behind the scenes. And this old guy is essentially at the top of that hierarchy, and the gang members are further down. What's also interesting is that the gang members will actively turn away from him, and will even run away rather than just not engaging with him. If you're not opposed to using cheats, this is a great opportunity to search for hidden packages in Gangland. Another fact about the change character cheat is that all the Peds turn around slower than Claude does. Yeah, it's strange. You can see here that the NPC's turning animation takes longer to complete than Claude's. The change character cheat is completely random, so you could be inputting the cheat over and over again until you get the one you want. But there is also the possibility that you'll turn back into Claude, as you can see here. Here we are at the police station in Shoreside Vale. Did you know that it's exactly the same model as the one that's used over in Portland? That's not actually the fact I was going to share, but I might as well mention it. But if you go down here, you end up in this area with several garages, which is still part of the police station's property, I believe. You can find an armour pickup and a health pickup in the adjacent garages here. And across the other side, you can find Molotov cocktails and flamethrowers for sale. This always puzzled me a bit. Are you meant to be purchasing them from the police? Can you imagine the police selling you a Molotov cocktail? Also, I don't think this location is ever announced to the player, so do you have to just stumble across it randomly? Here's something that you may already know, but I've never shown it on the channel before. On the PS2 version I'm playing here, as well as the PC version, there's an issue with the Lighthouse. It looks red and white from a distance, which is what it's supposed to be. But if you go closer, the high-res textures will load in, and it will change to grey and white. It's not meant to be this way, it's meant to be red and white. But this issue occurs due to a broken texture, and it was fixed on subsequent releases like the Xbox version, as well as on the Definitive Edition. Not far from the lighthouse is the docks, and at the docks there are these high cranes moving around, which you can see here. I thought these might be good locations for a future one of my Rare Places videos. But when you get close to them, the actual crane bits at the top disappear. In Portland, you can find two identical signs. One on the edge of St. Mark's here and another near the hospital. It says, Dr. Chalfont's once a day wince away cure-all cream for ring piece. Now, aside from the obvious pun, this advert has a real archaic feel about it. The rhyming, the font, and the fact that it looks faded in places. I think these adverts are examples of real-life ghost signs. These are decades-old adverts for historic or now defunct companies that are still somewhat visible on the sides of buildings which are now irrelevant. They can be rare sights in real life, so make sure you keep an eye out for one. It's a common sight in Liberty City for all the taxis you see to be driven by this guy, the quintessential Asian taxi driver. But did you know that not all taxis in the game are driven by this NPC? It's rare, but you can find taxis that are driven by a different NPC. This guy dressed in blue. There's a club in the red light district which is closed during the day, then opens at night. Here we are at nearly 7 PM and we can see the shutters on this building. Once the clock strikes 7, it completely changes. The shutters disappear and are replaced by posters on either side, and an entrance in the centre. And let's also see it close. For this, we need to be here at 6 AM. And as we can see, the shutters return. But let's use the ghost car glitch to see what's happening back there. One thing I was surprised to see was that when the shutters appear, everything behind them completely disappears. I thought the shutters would just be covering up the entrance, but no, actually it's totally swapped out. A small detail I want to talk about is the wing mirrors on the cars. In GTA 3 they're not functional, they're just silver, so they don't actually reflect anything. However, on the taxi, the door mirrors are black. Now I can't say I've checked every vehicle in the game, but I couldn't find any other car whose wing mirrors were also black. Every other car I looked at had silver mirrors. I wonder why it's just the taxis that are different. When darkness falls in Liberty City, you can see lights on the buildings. But if you go close to these lights, they actually disappear. I tried to get a good look at this in action with the Dodo, but it wasn't quite as good a method as I'd hoped for. Okay, here's a good example. These lights at the FBI headquarters in Staunton Island. The lights go out when you get close to them. But I think the best way of showcasing this is probably just to zoom into one of the buildings with the sniper rifle. If we zoom in and out looking towards the building, we can see the lights disappear and reappear. Going back to the taxi, earlier I mentioned how the vast majority of taxis in Liberty City have Asian drivers. But what's interesting about this is that this NPC is only ever seen driving the taxi. He's not seen driving any other vehicle, and he's never shown walking on the streets. Every other Ped who's seen driving a car also spawns as a pedestrian. It's just this taxi driver who is unique, and he never spawns as a Ped. At various points in Liberty City, you can find these boxes. You can interact with them by walking into them and pushing them along. But did you know that you can push them inside vehicles? For some reason these boxes are only able to collide with people and walls. So you can push them right into a vehicle. Although when you're driving in a car you can make contact with them. So I guess it's just parked cars that they can pass through. When a car blows up, pieces of it fly into the air, including a wheel. After the explosion, it's possible to interact with the wheel until it despawns. You can push it along and even try standing on it. As you might know, I like flying the Dodo in GTA 3. But one thing you have to watch out for are the unique jumps. If you fly over a unique jump, the cinematic camera will begin as normal, but it will stay on you until you land the plane. There doesn't seem to be any limitations on the height you can be at when going over a unique stunt jump location. Even if you're flying high in the air, the game will still class it as you interacting with the stunt jump. Something else I always wondered about the Dodo was whether you could do some stunts in it. I'd done some barrel rolls before, so I knew that was possible. So I wanted to take it up a notch and up the ante. I wanted to do a backflip. And after several failed attempts, including the game teleporting me and setting my plane on fire, and also one instance of the game randomly crashing, I was able to pull off this stunt. It's a rare sight, but you can see a rainbow in GTA 3. This was just a bit of random footage I happened to capture at the moment. I hadn't planned to encounter a rainbow and just had to hit record as soon as I saw it. But why is it so rare? Well, a YouTuber named Dr. Mod shared the preset GTA 3 weather cycle in one of his videos. And essentially, all the different weather you see in GTA 3 is in a preset pattern. So that likely impacts on how often you see rainbows. But I investigated this a bit further and here's what I found. If you load a save game or a save state, then go to the pause menu and start a new game, the weather cycle doesn't seem to reset. Instead, it'll pick up from where it left off. Well, except in the first mission, Give Me Liberty, as it's always cloudy, so it seems to continue after you finish that mission. This is similar to the radio stations. Head radio will play from the start when you begin a new game, but the other stations will continue from where they left off. Anyway, I found that if I started a new game from this save state I made, I could finish Give Me Liberty and Luigi's Girls, then head to Harwood, which I thought would make a good viewing spot. I tested this a few times, so I knew that if I followed that sequence of events, a rainbow would be due to appear during the morning of the second day. So I used a speed up time cheat to get us there a little bit quicker. And right on cue, here it is. And what a sight. A rainbow, an air train, and the dead Dodo. Also, you can see that the rainbow only appears for a few seconds. So they're very easy to miss even when they do spawn. But I thought that if I could do this, I could take it a step further and get to Francis International Airport in time to fly a Dodo behind the Shoreside Vale Hills and get a better look at the rainbow. You can get to Staunton Island early by performing this glitch if you didn't know. And then you can drive on the subway tracks to reach Shoreside Vale early. From here it was just a matter of taking off in this absolute pea soup we've got going on here, and fly around to the back of Shoreside Vale. And here we go, right ahead of us is the rainbow. This is probably the best view of it in the whole of Liberty City. Earlier in the video, I spoke about the change character cheat, and when I was playing around with it, I encountered a weird glitch. I changed into an invisible character, and the camera was just moving on its own at walking pace. And as soon as I pressed a button, the game crashed. I have no idea what this was all about, and I've never encountered this glitch before or since. Occasionally, you can see a floating car on the streets of Liberty City. It tends to be around this spot here, and I've also seen it happen in the Porter Tunnel. Funnily enough, this probably happens more frequently than the rainbow shows up. Okay, here's a weird one. I was filming Silence the Snake because I wanted to share the fact that as soon as you destroy the sentinel that comes out of the garage, the fire in the room that you threw the grenade into goes out. It's not something you always get to see, as you have to chase after the Sentinel if you don't destroy it when it first appears. But if you look closely at the room in the Witness Protection House, you can actually see that a police officer spawned in there for some reason. You can see him right here. Then you can see one of his arms clipped through the wall. And lastly, you can see a blood splatter when I threw another grenade in. Again, this is something that I've never seen before or since. At Salvatore's, there are these posts at the bottom of the steps that lead up to the house. They look really short, but actually their collisions go way higher. After a few tries, I was able to jump on top of one. You can see if I look down how far we are away from what looks like the top of the post. This is just one of those oddities that you stumble across at one point and you just never forget it. To begin a mission in GTA 3, you simply walk into the blue marker. But have you ever tried jumping into it? If you do this, the mission will not start. So you're just there, standing in the middle of it. It's quite surreal to see, actually. The only way to begin a mission is on foot, and to walk into it, not by jumping. A pretty well-known fact in GTA 3 is that when the cars stop on the Shoreside lift bridge, you can make them drive forwards by colliding with them, even if the bridge is still up. But you can take this a step further and try to time it, so the NPC car drives forward at the same time as the bridge comes down on top of it. I had a couple of nearly moments where I was inches away, but I finally got it to work. Unfortunately, I didn't have it recorded in the act, but here's the aftermath. This Landstalker was totally stuck there. Speaking of stuck cars, check this out. Let's park a car halfway into the Shoreside Vale Import-Export garage. If we move far away, the garage door actually comes down right on top of it. But if we get in it, it'll open again, but damaging our car in the process. If you've played GTA 3, you're probably familiar with Blue Hell. It's the space underneath the city which is often coloured blue. Except here it's more of a green colour due to the weather I'm experiencing. What's supposed to happen is this: you get reset back on the road. However, I experienced something different once. I flew the Dodo into the ground here, which isn't solid, and instead of spawning back on the land, I ended up in the sea somewhere. Absolutely miles away by the looks of it. And then the game crashed. When I was playing the mission Grand Theft Aero, I noticed something odd. If I left at least one cartel guy alive nearby when I got into the elevator, after the cutscene my health would be lower than when the cutscene began. Let's watch it together. Keep your eye on my health. When I go into the blue marker, my health is at 43. The cutscene starts playing, I skip it, and now I'm at 31 HP. It's like the cartel are still shooting at me during the cutscene or something. Or at least maybe during the transition in between gameplay and cutscene. Let's try this again though. 24 HP heading into the blue marker this time. And then after the cutscene, I'm down to just 5. Okay, 35 health this time. I'll let the cutscene play a bit and skip it, and then I'm actually dead. What the hell? But actually, you know what? This sets up something pretty intriguing. As you can see on the minimap, I have the D for Donald Love and no A for Asuka. This means that I didn't pass the mission. As I died, I failed it. But look at this. There are still these 2 holes in the walls which only appear after this mission has been completed, and the Yakuza have taken over the construction site. So if we start the mission again and get to here, we can just run through these 2 holes in the walls and go straight to the blue marker. Again, these are not supposed to be here until you actually pass the mission. Something I shared in my recent video where we discussed what time of year each GTA game in the 3D era was set was the sunrise in GTA 3. If you fly behind the hillside in Shoreside Vale, you can actually witness the sunrise from beneath the horizon. Liberty City flat earth theory confirmed? Something else I wanted to check out was how the NPC's car's headlights switch off when daytime approached. What I found was that a car's headlights will not switch off if you're in close proximity to it. They will only switch off if you're further away from it. Therefore, it's possible to witness an NPC car travelling around with its headlights on in the daytime, as long as you stay close enough to it. Speaking of NPC cars, you'll have seen that I went for a bit of car surfing there. Car surfing is when you stand on top of an NPC car and just let it drive you around. Even better, you can shoot it to make the driver scared and then they'll accelerate away. A good game to play when you do this is to see how long you can stay on their car before you fall off. When I first played GTA 3, it was on an old CRT television and an actual PS2 of course. Nowadays we can play that same PS2 GTA 3 on emulators with far superior graphics. But that means we can see things which weren't as clear back in 2001. Take the Ped models for example. You can see their far LOD models much better now. They are faceless and some even have floating heads. They don't connect to their bodies. Obviously, once they come close to you, their high-res models will load in and everything looks normal again. If you step out in front of a vehicle in GTA 3, most cars will stop for you. Even if they're travelling downhill, they'll still have no problem stopping in time for you to not get run over. But the Mr. Whoopee in I Scream You Scream is a bit different. The driver of this vehicle can be a little bit late on the brakes, and when you step out in front of him, he'll accidentally run you over. It's not like he's a pissed off driver or anything, as you can get him to stop by standing in front of the van. But it's just that his reactions seem to be slower than all those normal NPCs. Speaking of the Mr. Whoopee, it's common to see it spawn with an advert at the back, which looks like this. But occasionally you can find a Mr. Whoopee that spawns without the ad at the back. It's nowhere near as rare as the lightless taxi or the graffiti-less Hood's Rumpo XL, but it's still not as common as the version with the ad. Although, having said that, the Mr. Whoopee is probably the most rare spawn in terms of general cars on the entire game. There's this car park near the stadium in Staunton Island with a little wall around it. If you park your car at just the right distance away from it and get out, you can actually teleport into the middle of the car park. It's quite tricky to do as the distance between the car and the wall has to be quite precise. But yeah, it can happen. If an NPC accidentally walks into Ammu-Nation, they'll stop in the doorway and get stuck there. You can even witness more than one NPC get stuck in there too. And I think the most I've ever seen at once is 3. And lastly, we're going to take another look at the Shoreside Vale Import-Export Garage. Here I am delivering a car that's on the list, the Landstalker. However, its owner wants it back. If the Ped takes it back from you, and you go outside and let the garage door close, it still counts as being delivered. And that was the last fact in the video. Thank you for watching.